All right, guys, we're going to be talking about one of the most important aspects when you're creating videos for the class this year, and that's sequencing shots. And you'll see here that we're going to talk about the importance of a variety of shots, what the actual sequencing represents, the 10-second rule, and shot, sequence, and scene, what that looks like. So let's first go to the importance of camera shots. First of all, they're used to create a sequence of images, just like words in a sentence combine to form the meaning of a sentence. So keep in mind, video is visual. And so each one of those shots are like words in a sentence. So the shots and angles help communicate a message in a movie. Each shot and angle has a different purpose and effect. So you want to be really strategic and intentional about the shots that you're using. All right, sequencing shots. So the first thing is we know video is a visual art, also audio too, but we'll talk about that later. So if we look at this little image right here of this man and child talking, if this were a 30-second scene and we tried to sit and stare at this picture for 30 seconds, we're probably going to get distracted. That's what happens to viewers if they're watching a movie. If a shot is up too long, our eyes start to wander, we start to wander. So what you want to do is you want to take a scene like this, or a sequence, and divide it up into several shots. So if this were a 30-second shot, the average shot is about 5 seconds. Now, average. You're going to have shots that are longer, you're going to have some shots that are shorter, and we're going to talk about what shorter and faster shots, shorter and longer shots do to a movie, how they change the pace of it. But so a 30-second sequence will probably be broken into about 6 shots. So we can say anywhere from 5 to 8 shots it could be, but we're going to say the average is about 5 seconds. So this particular scene was broken in to a shot of the boy, then a shot of the man, then we have a long shot of the boy and the man, move in a little closer. So you're constantly moving the camera during this one particular scene. So the idea behind the basic sequence is to break a long sequence into shorter shots so that a viewer does not lose attention, and it makes editing easier when you guys go into the editing phase. Now, we're going to talk about the 10-second rule. The 10-second rule is really something in this class. It's just to help you remember about how long a shot should be. So most shots are about 5 to 7 seconds long, but we call it the 10-second rule because you need some editing room at the beginning and some editing room at the end of your shot. So if you're the person running the camera, and all of you at some point will run the camera, you want to hit the record button, then you want to count down to your actors. 3, 2, 1, action. All right, so my camera is already recording. That gives me a little editing room up front. Now, when the shot ends, you just don't want to stop recording. Your actors should kind of hold what they're doing, give it a couple of seconds so that you have some editing room at the end. So if a shot is 5 to 7 seconds long, it's going to be about 10 seconds. So we're calling it the 10-second rule. Now, keep in mind, I know that there might be times where you have just a 3-second shot or you have a 10-second shot. So then it's going to be a little bit longer or shorter based on, but we're going to call it the 10-second rule just so that you can remember, okay, most shots should be 5 to 7 seconds long. The most important aspect here, guys, don't keep that camera recording. There should never be a 30-second shot or a minute shot. First of all, it hogs up space on the camera and all the classes are using the camera. Second thing, it takes forever to import. You'll never get it imported into the computer. So the shorter you keep the shots, the faster everything's going to go when you get to the editing phase. So don't keep that camera recording. As soon as you're done with the shot, make sure you stop recording. So it's really important for editing purposes and to keep the viewer interested. That's why you want to use that 10-second rule. All right, now we have, when you're out filming, you have what's called the shot, sequence, scene, story. So we see here a shot is just a single run of the camera. The typical length of a shot is about 5 to 7 seconds, but sometimes it might be longer or shorter. Short shots are going to increase the pace. So if you're trying to make something look like it's frantic or fast, you might do shorter shots. Longer shots kind of slow it down a little bit. So you might do a 10 or 12-second shot to slow things down. Think of a shot as words in a sentence, okay? A sequence is a group of shots depicting one action. So that picture that we looked at back here, this would be this is a sequence. Okay, we really have this one action here, and here's the sequence right there. So a sequence is a group of shots depicting one action. Think of a sequence as a sentence. So the shots are the words of that sentence and the sequence is the actual sentence. Then we have a scene. So a scene is a group of sequences that depict an event in the story or occur in one place. Think of a scene as the paragraph. Okay, and then of course you have your final thing, the entire story. So this is the big idea. It's broken into scenes. You break your scenes into sequences and then your sequences into shots. So when you're developing ideas for a movie, you're always going to start with that story first. So you're always going to start with that big brainstorm idea. We have to figure out what the conflict's going to be, who your main characters are. So all those parts of a story that we're going to be talking about, the storytelling elements. You then need to decide about how many scenes it will take to create your story. Okay, so we have the story idea. What are the main scenes of that story? Then you need to figure out about how many sequences it will take to create the scene. Now, when you guys are doing your storyboard is basically a picture of a sequence. And then your sequence, you're going to break down into individual shots on a shot list. So then you're going to break down the sequence into individual shots, applying that 10-second rule. So if it's a 45-second sequence, you're probably going to have anywhere from 6 to 8 shots, even 9. Okay, so you have to think about, okay, I have this much time, about how many shots should I have in there? All right, so that is information for shot, sequence, scene, and story. You're going to move on now to camera shots and angles.